The West Philippine Sea is a place of incredible beauty and immense importance. Its waters teem with fish, providing a livelihood for countless Filipino families who have cast their nets here for generations. Beneath the waves, it is believed that vast reserves of oil and natural gas lie hidden, promising a future of energy independence and prosperity for the nation. This very richness, however, is what makes it a center of intense disagreement. Several countries, including the Philippines and China, lay claim to parts of this sea, leading to a constant and often tense presence of ships from different nations. Each vessel is a symbol of its country's assertion of rights, turning these tranquil-looking waters into a stage for geopolitical drama that unfolds day after day. This area, particularly around features like Scarborough Shoal, known to Filipinos as Panatag Shoal or Bajo de Mazinloc, has become a focal point of these overlapping claims. It is a traditional fishing ground for Filipinos, a triangular chain of reefs and rocks just over 200 kilometers west of Zambales. For our fishermen, it is not just a location on a map, it is a vital source of survival passed down through families. Yet, in recent years, access to this lifeline has been challenged. The waters are now patrolled not just by fishing boats, but by Coast Guard and even naval ships from competing claimants, creating a crowded and precarious environment where a simple day's work can become an international incident at a moment's notice. The constant patrols and standoffs have created a palpable tension that hangs over the region. Imagine being a fisherman, trying to earn a living for your family, only to be chased away from your ancestral fishing grounds by large, intimidating foreign vessels. This has become the reality for many of our kababayans. The strategic importance of the West Philippine Sea extends beyond fishing and resources. It is also a major international shipping lane, a highway for global trade. The stability of this region is therefore not just a local concern, but a matter of global significance, as any disruption could have far-reaching economic consequences for countries around the world. The situation is a complex tapestry woven from threads of history, national pride, international law, and economic necessity. For the Philippines, the issue is deeply personal. It is about sovereignty, the right to control our own territory and resources, as defined by international rulings like the 2016 Arbitral Tribunal Award. It is about protecting the livelihoods of our people and securing the future for the next generation of Filipinos. The presence of foreign government ships in waters we consider our own is a constant reminder of the ongoing struggle to have our national rights respected on the world stage, making every incident, big or small, a matter of significant national concern. On a recent patrol near the contested Scarborough Shoal, the Philippine Coast Guard witnessed a truly astonishing event. It was the kind of incident you might expect in a high-stakes action film, but it happened in real life, in our own backyard. According to the Coast Guard's official report, their vessel was being shadowed or followed closely by a China Coast Guard ship. This has unfortunately become a common tactic in the area, a form of intimidation meant to assert presence and control. The Coast Guard crew, accustomed to these tense encounters, were documenting the chase, keeping a vigilant watch on the Chinese ship's movements as it mirrored their own. The situation escalated dramatically and unexpectedly. As the China Coast Guard ship continued its pursuit of the Philippine vessel, another much larger ship suddenly appeared. This was not just another Coast Guard cutter, it was a gray-hulled warship of the Chinese People's Liberation Army Navy. Instead of simply observing or joining the shadowing maneuver, the Navy ship accelerated, cutting a path directly between the Philippine and Chinese Coast Guard vessels. It was a high-risk move, a dangerous insertion into an already tense situation, and it happened with startling speed, leaving little room for error for any of the ships involved in the tight quarters ballet. In what the Philippine Coast Guard described as a moment of high drama, the aggressive maneuver by the Chinese Navy ship went terribly wrong. It failed to clear the China Coast Guard vessel it was cutting in front of. The result was a loud, jarring collision. The powerful Navy warship slammed into the bow or front section of its own country's Coast Guard ship. For the Filipino crew watching this unfold from a short distance, it must have been a surreal and shocking sight. Two large vessels from the same nation, both engaged in pressuring a Philippine ship, crashing into one another in the middle of their own operation. The incident highlights the increasingly risky and aggressive behavior being observed in the West Philippine Sea. While confrontations between Philippine and Chinese vessels have been reported frequently, a collision between two ships from the same country during such an encounter is highly unusual and reveals a potential lack of coordination or an extreme level of aggression that can lead to miscalculation. The Philippine Coast Guard, fulfilling its duty, meticulously documented the entire event, understanding that what they had just witnessed was not merely a maritime accident, but a significant geopolitical event with serious implications for regional stability. In the world of international disputes, proof is paramount. Words can be denied, but video tells a story that is difficult to dispute. Understanding this, the Philippine Coast Guard promptly released the footage captured during the incident. The video evidence was clear and damning. It showed exactly what the Coast Guard personnel had reported: a China Coast Guard ship in hot pursuit of a Philippine vessel. The tension is visible even in the grainy footage, capturing the reality of these close-quarters encounters that have become all too frequent. The release of this video shifted the incident from a simple report to a verifiable event for the entire world to see and analyze. The most critical part of the footage captures the startling moment of the collision itself. You can see the gray Chinese Navy warship moving at a considerable speed, slicing through the water. It attempts to sail between the Coast Guard and China Coast Guard ships, a maneuver that experts call a crossing or cutting action. But the video clearly shows the miscalculation. The Navy ship's path intersects with the Coast Guard ship, resulting in a visible and forceful impact. There is no ambiguity in the footage. It is a direct collision between two vessels belonging to the same state, both of which were actively involved in shadowing the Philippine ship moments before the crash. Following the initial collision footage, the Philippine Coast Guard released subsequent video that revealed the aftermath. The camera zooms in on the China Coast Guard vessel that was struck, and the damage is undeniable. The video shows clear and significant damage to the ship's bow. The front of the vessel appears crumpled and gashed, a stark visual confirmation of the force of the impact it sustained from the larger Navy warship. This visual evidence of damage makes it incredibly difficult for anyone to deny that a serious collision occurred, providing tangible proof that corroborates the account provided by the Philippine observers. The importance of this video evidence cannot be overstated. In the past, China has often dismissed Philippine reports of incidents as fabrications or provocations. However, with high-resolution video, the facts become much harder to contest. Independent analysis by international news organizations, like BBC Verify, confirmed that the location of the incident was indeed near Scarborough Shoal, adding another layer of credibility to the Philippine report. This practice of assertive transparency, using documented evidence to expose aggressive actions, has become a key strategy for the Philippines in pushing back against intimidation in its own waters. In the wake of the incident, the reactions from the involved governments were, perhaps unsurprisingly, starkly different. The Philippine government, through its Coast Guard and Department of Foreign Affairs, stood firmly by its report. Armed with clear video evidence, officials condemned the dangerous maneuvers and aggressive actions of the Chinese vessels within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. The message was one of resolve, highlighting the risks posed by such behavior not only to the safety of sailors at sea, but also to regional peace and stability. For the Philippines, this was another clear example of China's disregard for international law and maritime safety norms. The Chinese government's response was far more reserved and opaque. While officials acknowledged that a confrontation had taken place in the area, they conspicuously avoided confirming the collision between their own Navy and Coast Guard ships. Beijing's official statements often follow a pattern of blaming the Philippines for intruding into what they claim are their sovereign waters, framing their actions as necessary law enforcement. This refusal to acknowledge the collision, despite video evidence, is seen by many observers as an attempt to control the narrative and avoid the embarrassment of admitting to such a significant and clumsy operational failure during a mission to intimidate another country. These confrontations are happening because the West Philippine Sea is at the heart of China's expansive 9-line claim, which covers most of the South China Sea. This claim was invalidated by an international arbitral tribunal in The Hague in 2016, a ruling that the Philippines won. However, China has rejected the ruling and continues to assert its claim through a constant presence of Coast Guard, Navy, and maritime militia vessels. These ships are used to harass and block Philippine vessels, whether they are Coast Guard, Navy, or simple fishing boats, from accessing areas like Scarborough Shoal and Ayungin Shoal, effectively trying to enforce their claim through coercion and intimidation. Ultimately, this incident matters deeply to every Filipino. It is a direct challenge to our country's sovereignty and our right to benefit from the resources within our own waters. It affects the fishermen whose livelihoods are threatened and the future generations who stand to inherit these seas. On a global scale, it is a test of the international rules-based order. If a powerful country can ignore international law and use force to impose its will, it sets a dangerous precedent for the rest of the world. The courage of the Philippine Coast Guard in documenting and publicizing these events ensures that the world cannot look away, keeping a vital spotlight on the ongoing struggle for our seas.